So folks that don't know, Jobs and Justice, we're a national coalition, but we have local chapters, and while we are still a national network, we have a lot of autonomy over what we're able to get done locally. So sometimes we're a little bit of a unicorn within our network because we really are trying to do the forward push to make sure that the labor movement really does sustain in this country, which is no small feat, if anybody knows what's going on with labor. But Jobs and Justice, we're a coalition of labor, faith, and community organizations, as well as student groups. We've been mostly an ally and partner to make sure that labor is keeping itself rooted in community. The reason I kind of call us a little bit more of a unicorn is that we're really trying to make sure that we're erecting community-centered, community-modeled organizing campaigns that have a labor focus and center. So most recently, folks know that City of Atlanta workers, we just got them to $15 an hour. Very excited. Through a 3-year phase-in. When Fight for 15 came to the South, Jobs for Justice was the first organization before SEIU dedicated staff capacity to the South to say we're going to go ahead and do these actions and do these rallies. So we started protesting in 2013. Realized from there that we needed to create a strategy, even though we have state preemption. Despite state preemption, we decided that we were going to go municipality to municipality, see if we could force the conversation there, see where we could win advocacy in 15. And so far, we've won for Fulton County workers, City of Atlanta workers. Fairburn has come in at $14.90. East Point is doing a 3-year phase-in. Clarkston is in. Our whole entire point the last 2 years is to prove efficacy of 15 in the South. That despite preemption, create as many places that we could prove that 15 is a viable conversation for Southern workers. And we've been on that march, and with the intention of building the power for us to be able to move it on a statewide level. On the state level, we have 2 bills in the Senate and the House for 15. Last year, we had a conglomerate of Democratic legislators who said, let's do $7.25 because Georgia's minimum wage, if folks don't know, is actually $5.15. Ooh, yeah. So they came up and were like, well, let's just at least get it to the federal. And what we knew is that we had to beat that back because we only get this conversation like once a decade in the South. So we knew if we allowed them to move $7.25, we would probably be stuck there for another 10 to 15 years. So went up there and was like, no, shut it down. And they were like, but the domestic workers, they want $7.25. No. Not at all, because they're one of our coalition partners. So we knew that that was a lie. Ran our domestic workers into the rooms in the negotiation and wound up getting a bill that strikes the exemption for domestic workers as well as restaurant tip workers in Georgia. We will be the 9th state in the union to achieve this when we win this. We don't see it happening this session, but we're just really excited to be building the energy, to be building the narrative to make sure that we do win this, that we all know we've got gubernatorial elections next year, that on the other side of that gubernatorial election, there should be an opportunity for us to actually push that through. And we're looking to make sure that we're building the coalition of workers across the bracket under 15. There's over 2 million workers in Georgia that make less than $15 an hour. There's over 1 million workers in Georgia that make less than $10 an hour. So we know that what we're pushing on is massive systematic change around the economy of Georgia. We feel confident about our ability to get there because I don't know if folks know, Georgia has 18 Fortune 500 companies. That we're a major hub for transnational global capital. We are a major hub for national capital. We have major headquarters for all the 7 fast food industries, 7 fast food corporations headquartered in Atlanta. So when we move a Arby's, right? When we move a Chick-fil-A, we move them on a national scale, and that's what we're looking at right now in our private sector of this, that to move a Home Depot, to see a Home Depot do what Target just did, is not just moving it in the backyard of Georgia, but to move it for the entire nation. We also see things like Luxottica. Tell me when I've got, you gotta put the flag up, okay. We see companies like Luxottica, who's actually an Italian company, but has 2 of its major manufacturing plants in Georgia. We know that they're unionized everywhere else in the world, but here in Georgia, they're not. In addition to those 2 600-worker plants that we have, we also have about 1,000 of their retail workers through LensCrafter, VisionWorks, Sun Hut. So we're just looking at how do we use this global economy right, in Georgia to push things for Southern workers that also has a much bigger trajectory and push. So we're just very excited that we've been proving efficacy on the ability to raise wages. And the last thing I'm going to say on our wages conversation. The reason we're winning on 15 is that we're using a reproductive justice lens. That right now, when you say to us that you believe in a living wage, we're not talking about $15. We're talking about $28 an hour. So when you tell us that you believe in living wages, we're coming back with an MIT study that says a single person with 2 kids, which is a reproductive justice lens and framework, is really where we have to be pushing the state towards. So if you believe in this with us, you're going to join us at 15 now, and we're going to be creating a pathway to really get to this 28. That what we're doing is just making sure that the conversation is not the least common denominator, but truly what the needs of our people are. And like, folks are really coming with that. It's taken a lot of work to get workers to believe in themselves at 15, but we're having this conversation about true needs. What does this economy truly need to survive? And we really feel like the 28 is still too low. And it's too low because it's the MIT calculator that doesn't take in student loans. It's not going to get your kids any music lessons. You're not really going to dinner at any of those wages. None of that's happening. A good quality of life is not happening even at 28. So right now we're trying to do some studies and things to prove what the true living wage is for Atlantans in the South. And we're thinking it's going to come in around 32. So we're just excited to keep pushing the number, right? To keep demanding what our people actually need and erecting campaigns that really do speak to intersectionality. And if you guys want to check it out, this is a great example of how we're pulling the intersections of economic justice together in an electoral context. That we took 13 issues, over 20 organizations, brought them together to create one question per issue, and then forced the candidates into responding to truly, truly progressive policies. Like truly what we want to see them enacting. And we're just very excited to make sure that the economic movement that we're making speaks to all the layers. Like you'll see this is about HIV/AIDS, it's reproductive justice, it's education, it's healthcare, it's youth, it's schools. Like we smacked everything that is about economics into one room and one organizing effort that we can put a common goal. And the last thing I'll say is I'm just really excited that we are moving the silos. That as Jobs with Justice, it is our job to be a rivet between the silos of the movement. That our union partners have one particular type of conversation, our reproductive justice partners have another conversation, our police brutality folks have another. We just want to put them all in a room, get our collective self together, figure out what those conflicts are, and win what we can together. And that's our push right now.